me because he felt personally shut out from his own birthright, from his own inheritance, because for him that land was his, not in a sense of legal property, but in the sense of who he felt he was. It went very, very deep. It was bound up with his sense of identity.
When Jeremy said that, it really made me think. The idea that somebody could feel a birthright to land they don't own, like it's part of their identity. At the time I was thinking, I don't get that, because it's not theirs. But then my family do own it. Not much, but enough for me to feel standing in that field with them. But I don't know how it feels to not have somewhere to go that is mine and my family's. And that's it, isn't it? That's the culture war. The difference between what we see as mine and what we see as ours. Back to that field in Froome. It belongs to a farmer and businessman called Alan Blunt. I was desperate to speak to Alan, and I had been due to meet him in the field, but sadly he was taken into hospital a few days before. So in the end, I could only speak to him briefly on the phone. I'm sorry to hear that you didn't know. The chit-chat we got straight to. Why?
People let the dogs go, and they have no control. Getting all the wildlife back. And I just like to see it. I mean, the footpath is not 38. They were throwing all over for the dogs to chase and back again. And I thought, well, you know, I want to farm it, I want to have it there, but tell me what else to do it. Safeguard everybody. It's the fence footpath.
So you wanted people to just move through the field and be on their way. You didn't want them lingering in the field and using that as...
What do you say? It's not their land. There's another place. They got designated for a green space. Go and use that. You know, they just didn't pick up behind their dog. They just left it. People wouldn't like me taking my dog onto their lawn and walking all around it, crapping everywhere.
Can I ask one question? If they were respecting it and looking after it and giving up the dog food, would you be happy to keep it open as a big field to you?
No. We needed that up on safety. No, there's no people are not going to get trampled on by bulls or whatever you go out and do.
I mean, it does happen, definitely, but it doesn't happen very often. To play a bit of devil's advocate, do you think you might have been using that as an excuse to just keep what was yours fenced off just for you?
Well, in one way, yes. My land. I never even got big area back to my land. Sorry.
A lot of people were angry about that fence, but Alan has no regrets, and he says he got messages of support from farmers all over the world. Given that strength of feeling and 12,000 years of history, it's no wonder the right to roam debate feels so combustible. Calls to completely open up the countryside in England have been getting louder, like the protests on Dartmoor over the right to wild camp on private land. That's got some, like Alan, very worried.
No, like you're not on the way. There's plenty of places that you can walk, plenty of roads, plenty of pavement. There is still some green space, which local council knows.
Do you go walking much, Alan? Are you a walker?
I'm a worker, not a walker.
So you've never enjoyed going for walks in the countryside?
I'm always in the country. I live in the countryside. So I'm walking every day. And I don't need to go for walks.
I mean, you've said that you're in the countryside every day and you get to work in it. Can you see that that's a bit of a rare privilege? Not many people have that.
Because a lot of people don't want to do our type of work. I'm working a 7-day job. Nothing else. You know, we want something for that purpose. We don't want people just wandering all around our fields, around our buildings, just putting things, that's what they do.
To be fair, I know plenty of farmers who are more than
to doing things with their lands. There's all kind of stuff that they know activists and they know needs to be done. Even just simple things like kind of not leaving gates open for visitors to to a certain extent. I remember during the kind of lockdowns, I was absolutely horrified with that people. So in that sense, I think that there really is a genuine kind of comparison as well. You wouldn't like people walking across your kind of back garden, would you? On the other hand, it's also different because in a kind of small island like Britain, in a way there isn't very much land, at least not compared to the size of the population. And we've got to have somewhere to go because we do have this kind of fundamental need for open space to be able to kind of feel that we've got some freedom in our own lands. That we're not like where we're standing now, where we're just kind of trammeled and confined to tiny, tiny spaces. I mean, this is really kind of overnight. So some kind of mutual understanding and respect for people who are fortunate enough to kind of own, manage, and understand that actually, to a certain extent, they're kind of stewarding that for all of us, and have to recognise that that matters to them.
And tomorrow we ask, are trees becoming embroiled in a newly emerging cultural battleground? It's presented by Anna Jones and produced by Pepper Science.
I'm Simon Pegg. I'm an actor and an avid fan of the Lost Factory by Ian Banks. This controversial cult classic was published 40 years ago, and I think it's one of the greatest contemporary novels of our time. I'll be finding out how it was written and the impact this classic has had on since.
That was very good for us as a full feminist anthem, which was natural, washing machine, and now it's up against that.
Join me for a journey into the book's weird world. It's strange, darkly funny, but full of surprises. Radio 4's Inside the Wasp Factory, with me, Simon Pegg. Available now on BBC Sounds.
BBC News at midday. The House of Commons Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle has told MPs that they should consider working from home after reports that the riots seen across parts of the UK over the past week will continue tonight. Sir Lindsay highlighted what he called the spontaneity and unpredictable nature of the disorder. Thousands of police officers have braced for potential violence, despite last night being relatively quiet. Samantha Rowland is the person of the Metropolitan Police.
We've changed our tactics in the last couple of days. So besides marshalling more officers, we're engaging some of the teach locations across the country. It's more agility to respond to wherever the protests are most intense, so that we can respond with agility and show overwhelming force, so that the criminals and thugs on the streets don't succeed.
Police in Belfast have detained 6 people after disorderly saw a 15-year-old assaulted in a Middle Eastern shop and a stolen car driven into an estate agent's office. In Liverpool, 3 men convicted of violent disorder are being sentenced. Our political correspondent Joe Pike says the government is hoping that swift action by the police and courts will discourage people from getting involved.
Keir Starmer's strategy is actually trying to ensure that the criminal justice system is working, and the government, the police forces, the Crime Prosecution Service are publicising what is happening in courts and hoping that changes behaviour. It's a lesson from the 2011 riots in London and elsewhere, where we saw, according to those involved, people, particularly young people, step back as they saw some of their friends or people they knew in their communities being given significant sentences.
The inquests have opened into the deaths of 3 girls who were killed in last week's knife attack in Southport. Eva King, Elsie Stankin and Alice De Silva Aguiar were stabbed to death at a dance class. Concluding today's hearing, the coroner said it was impossible to adequately articulate the devastating lifelong effects on their families. The Israeli army has issued a new evacuation order for Palestinians in Gaza, this time for people in Beit Hanun in the north. It says rockets were fired from the area into Israel yesterday, and it would take immediate and forceful action against the militants responsible. Our Middle East analyst Sebastian Asher reports.
The Arabic language spokesman for the IDF has tweeted the latest map with areas where Israel has told Palestinians to evacuate. In recent weeks, the Israeli military has issued a number of such orders for districts across Gaza, which have seen hundreds of thousands of Palestinians forced to seek shelter in diminishing zones of relative safety. In his latest comments, the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has said the effort to secure a ceasefire in Gaza is in its final stage.
More than 1,000 UK military personnel have been put on standby to help with the evacuation of British nationals from Lebanon. Hundreds of troops have been sent to Cyprus, where the UK already has a military presence, and hundreds more are on notice. The Foreign Office has warned that the situation in Lebanon could deteriorate rapidly. The Bangladeshi economist and Nobel Prize winner Professor Muhammad Yunus has called for calm and new elections in the country after agreeing to lead an interim government. He's expected to return to Dhaka from Paris on Thursday. Bangladesh has been in turmoil after the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled to India following civil unrest. The UK's biggest mortgage lender, Halifax, says house prices are likely to rise for the rest of the year. Here's our cost of living correspondent, Kevin Teacher.
This month's interest rate cut by the Bank of England, the first in 4 years, is likely to stoke demand in the housing market. The bank's governor warns not to expect a flurry of further rate cuts, and Halifax says there is a potential for more. That, it says, could reduce borrowing costs and encourage first-time buyers and movers. Greater demand, limited properties for sale would push up prices. Based on its own mortgage lending, Halifax says the cost of a typical home rose by £2,200 in July to just over £291,000 following 3 flat months.
BBC News.
He's hardly a household name, so was Tim Walz's selection by Kamala Harris as her pick for vice president. Tell us about the Democrats' strategy to retain the White House. In the latest edition of Americast, which dropped onto BBC Sounds last night, the team reflects on another big day in the US election campaign. Now subscribe to Americast so you can send every new episode straight to your phone. Now on Radio 4, time for you and yours with Manfred Robinson.
Hi, welcome. On Radio 4's consumer programme today. The riots hitting the high streets as people stay home. We'll look at what's happening today and what the impact may be in the longer term. People are waiting months for house sales to complete. Kirsty Allstock believes that could be sorted.
So if we all sat down in a room and said, right, none of us are interested in making money, we're just interested in this becoming more transparent for everybody, I think we could do it.
They call it the single tax, the extra cost of living alone. We'll be hearing how those costs can mount up to an extra £800 a month.
I just find personally that the couples that I'm friends with, they were saving that bit more, whereas I was sort of spending that bit more.
And we hear a lot about keeping homes warm to save energy. What about the houses and flats that get much too hot in the summertime? We'll have advice on what to do about that. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email us or text us. Email you and yours at bbc.co.uk or text 84844 if you're on Twitter, X, or hashtag you and yours. A lot of high streets and city centres will be quieter than usual today. Office workers are being told to work from home. Some people are postponing shopping trips. It's because of the rioting and vandalism in towns across England and Wales, and the possibility of more to come. The British Retail Consortium that represents shop owners big and small is meeting today to discuss what to do. Shari Val can tell us more. Shari.
Well, we've seen the coverage of rioters pelting police with rocks and bottles, and quite rightly, when trouble fares, people just want to stay well out of it. And as we heard in the news bulletin just then, even MPs are being advised to work from home. There have been attacks on shops and looting, and as a result, some people are staying away from city centres and high streets, and high streets are reporting a big loss in trade. The British Retail Consortium is meeting today with police and members of the government. And Helen Dickinson is the Chief Executive.
I mean, from a financial point of view, what the business is concerned, it's really too early to know, because obviously we are, not out of the woods yet. We are seeing footfall significantly impacted in some of the cities, particularly last weekend. Places like Manchester and Nottingham saw about 20% fewer people on Saturday coming into the city centre, so obviously it will be affecting those businesses. And there's the clean-up operation for any shops or premises that get damaged in any of the activity that goes on, so people will be really focused on clearing things up and making sure that they can get business back to usual for their customers.
Winifred, you said England and Wales just a minute ago.
It's England and Northern Ireland.
It's England and Northern Ireland. The Welsh
Okay.
First Minister this morning said they haven't had any trouble in Wales yet, and there isn't any reports of it
Well, that's
in
good.
Scotland either. But as we know, these riots are being planned and organised online, and there was an apparent reduction in violence last night. But today, police are warning of reports of plans to attack dozens of law centres across England, and these are ones that specialise in immigration law. So 30 locations are mentioned. Businesses close by will shut up shop, and it may well be that these plans will come to nothing, because, you know, a lot of speculation and rumour goes around that the authorities know how quickly this trouble can escalate once it starts.
Are shops themselves a target in these riots, Charlie?
Well, there's been looting, so some big chains have been victims of that. TK Maxx in Plymouth, their windows were smashed. O2 in Hull was looted. Shoe Zone in Hull was looted. They've also been attacks on much smaller businesses. And in Belfast, one supermarket manager said this store was reduced to ashes because rioters were deliberately targeting immigrant-owned businesses. This cafe owner in Belfast had to barricade him and his staff inside as the rioters descended.
That's all I wanted really in that moment, to save my staff, and I had the customers inside. So I wanted to run from back door, and I was keeping shocked and run, and I was holding on the door. I don't want anybody to get injured. The damages me about between 15 and probably around 20 grand.
So there's the threat to life, you know, there's the loss of money. There are questions about whether these people will be insured, aren't there?
Yes, some businesses will be covered for the damage on their insurance, but others may not. Laura Hughes is the head of General Insurance Policy at the Association of British Insurers, and she says the first thing businesses need to do is call the police and get a crime number, and then contact the insurer.
And your insurer will really be there every step of the way after that to talk you through the process, what needs to happen. For businesses, obviously there's various different types of insurance they may have, damage to the